you a Chevrolet. I'll buy you a Chevrolet. I'll buy you a Chevrolet. Just give me some of your love, girl. Just give me some of your love. Just give me some of your love, babe. Just give me some of your love. Buy you a diamond ring. Buy you a diamond ring. I'll buy you a diamond ring. Just give me some of your love, girl. Just give me some of your love. Just give me some of your love, babe. Just give me some of your love. I'll buy you a Cadillac. I'll buy you a Cadillac. I'll buy you a Cadillac. Just give me some of your love, babe. Just give me some of your love. Just give me some of your love, girl. Just give me some of your love. I'm gonna buy you a sugar cube. I'll buy you a sugar cube. If you just give me some of your love, man. Just give me some of your love. Just give me some of your love, man. Just give me some of your love.
It's Hey Jip for BBC Radio 6 Music. I'm with the Raconteurs, Jack White and Brendan Benson. Welcome to the show. How are you both?
Thank you. Good, yeah.
Yeah, feeling great.
And thank you for recording this very special session for us. Well, where did you go and make this for us? Brendan?
We went to Rack Studios in St. John's.
Is that in St. John's Wood?
That's right.
But you had
in St. John's Wood, right?
Right, yeah.
Brendan had already recorded an album in that studio.
Yeah.
Oh, had you?
We didn't realize until we pulled up that's where we were headed.
Yeah, so. It was cool. It was a cool surprise. I stayed next door. You know, it's like a residential studio as well. So I stayed next door for like a month. Stayed in that area and.
I guess that happens more and more now. Yeah. well, just going to places and thinking, hang on, I've played here, or I've been here before, recorded here.
As time goes on, that's the nice thing, actually, because I actually think I need physical locations to remind me of certain things.
Yeah, because you played at the Electric Ballroom in London last night.
Yes.
Secret gig?
Semi, I guess.
Semi-secret. How was it?
It was incredible. The crowd was incredibly electric. It was people were moshing and just slam dancing, and it's just everyone was just incredibly young crowd, 18, 19-year-old crowd mostly. It was just incredible. It felt like a proper London rock and roll show. It was really great.
Awesome. And obviously you're playing these brand new songs from the forthcoming record. Help a Stranger is out on June 21st. And is it exciting playing songs to an audience who haven't heard them yet?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of a litmus test, I suppose, for some of this stuff, but it's a little late in the game now. We can't really change anything. But it's cool. It's fun. I think people are very respectful and listen, and we don't have any cell phones in the building, so
I noticed that. Do you do that in every gig?
We have, yeah, and I started doing that last year on my solo tour, and I thought it was something we would only do for a short time and people were not going to take to it, and that'd be a cool art project almost, but people just absolutely love it. It's overwhelmingly positive, and so we've kept it going, and we've done it for every gig so far. And people just love it. It just feels great that you immediately know that people are engaged as soon as the first song you play. You can tell the difference. If it might be different for people in the crowd, but for on stage to have played both ways, there's no denying how much better it is.
Do you think that will become the norm in gigs in the future?
I think so, because rock and roll was always sort of like breaking the rules, and there are no rules. Kind of this wild abandon and anarchy in its history and all that. So we've already been doing this, and there's no phones at the symphony or at the movie theater or at church or whatever. So there's already these temples we go to that you don't do this. So I think this is sort of the last one standing. And I think I've never really seen anybody walk out of any of these shows really that said that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I was shocked, because I thought that was how people were going to react to it.
Yeah. I was looking at the listings. I was thinking, Raconteurs, the Electric Ballroom. I'm sure this rings a bell. I looked it up, and I saw you there in 2006 when you were playing a tribute gig to the late great John Peel. And it was Square Pusher and yourselves on the bill.
That was that place.
Do you remember that
I was
gig?
thinking about that last night, laying in bed. I was like, where was that club? And I couldn't remember if it was like up north or something. But you're right, that was the club. And we played Teenage Kicks for John Peel.
That's right, yep.
2006. It's been 11 years since the last Raconteurs record, Brendan. Does it feel like 11 years? That's a long time.
It feels like, no, it feels like 10 minutes.
Does it?
Underwater.
How about 11 minutes?
No. You came back with a couple of tracks last year. One of them was Sunday Driver, which we'll play in a little while. What made you come back and decide to record this new album?
It's the most popular question, and there's no, and then we don't fault you for asking, because we ask ourselves this question because we don't know the answer to it. It's very funny. We keep trying to remember exactly what some moment that occurred that made everything fall together. But I have to say, personally, I can't even remember that for any project I've been involved with. I try very much so to plan ahead, and this is no exception. I think what we seem to remember between us is there was this song called Shine the Light on Me that's on the new album that I had recorded for my last album, and it just didn't fit, and I kept listening to it and thinking, that really sounds like a Raconteurs song. That's what's going on here. It really has that vibe, and that's why I thought, well, I'll set it aside. And Brendan was over at the house, and I played it for him in my car, and he thought so too, and so I put my shirt back on, and we're headed to the studio.
Awesome. Talking of cars, and before we hear the next track that you've recorded for us this afternoon on 6, I saw that you've been using frequencies on radios in cars to listen to this new album.
Yes.
To test it out. Explain that to us.
I'm sure you know the magic of radio in your line of work and how magical it can be to transmit those frequencies. So I'd heard a story about in the old Motown days in Detroit, they would go and test it out. They play a frequency, play it on an FM transmitter, the song, and see if it sounded good on radio. So they go out to the car and listen to it on the radio.
So publicly broadcast.
But it's only a short distance, so 100 yards or something like that. So there was AM mono at that time. And I thought, that's interesting. And no one's done that since. But I wanted to put another twist in it, was to have a walkie-talkie with the engineer who's at the control desk, and in real time mix it in the car. So you're listening to it over the radio, and you immediately know, the kick drum is definitely not loud enough, like if this was on the radio compared to other songs on the radio. Loudness wars notwithstanding, but you'd say, okay, well, the kick drum's not loud enough, or we can't hear the vocals in the chorus. Can we bring that up and then rewind it and try it? So I've been doing this for about 10 years now. I think it really works well.
I love the idea of mixing it live. I spotted the walkie-talkie in the video that you posted online as well, kind of that live mixing process. Yeah. Let's play the next track then, recorded at Rack Studios by the Raconteurs 4/6 Music then. It's from the new album, and we'll be back with Jack and Brendan after this. Raconteurs with us this afternoon here on BBC Radio 6 Music, and Brendan and Jack from the band are my guests. I enjoyed listening to Help Us Strange. I've been lucky enough to hear it before it comes out on June 21st. It struck me, Brendan, as quite a vulnerable sounding record, almost an album of two halves, not just half and then the other half, but kind of mixed in that some of the songs are quite vulnerable, some are quite defiant as well, like Don't Bother Me sounds like a defiant one, Jack, as well. Yeah. And both on some songs, like Some Days I Don't Feel Like Trying. Like that's almost a song of two halves.
Yes.
So would you agree? Is it a song? Is it an album that is kind of a half and half record?
It's interesting you're saying sort of that in half and half, because in this band, you know, Brendan and I co-write. We sort of has that Lennon McCartney style of writing, where the whole band performs the songs, and but me and Brendan write them, and which is different. You know, in the White Stripes, I wrote the songs, and the Dead Weather, all four of us write the songs together. So in this band, Brendan and I are the songwriters, I guess, and the band are produce the album. So yeah, I mean, you have this sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's 90-10 sort of vibe to things, and it's hard to even know at first, like if you're trying to, if someone's asking, is this your song or did Brendan generate this or something, like you can remember, I think Brendan brought that in. And then what's great is after time passes, those things they blur away, you know. And, you know, a few years later, we were talking about a song from our first album the other day, and I couldn't recall how it was done at all, you know. I was completely wrong about how it was written, and Brendan luckily could remember it. So I think that's a beautiful thing, if you can figure out a way to collaborate together and write together, and the halves become this blurry thing. It's not
you bring the positive, you bring the negative, or vice versa, is it?
So I think every song is different, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. It's just, I think whoever's best, I mean, the song sort of tells you, you know, who it wants to be sung by, who I mean, I don't know, it's every song's kind of different. There's no formula, you know, I guess.
Yeah, we did a different sort of technique almost every time. Yeah, which is I think that's why the album has such a dynamic to it. I love albums that, I say my favorite Beatles album is the White Album. I like albums where every song has its own personality and could be its own single a lot more than albums that are all the same sound.
Yeah, and you have the freedom in the Raconteurs to do that. Tell us about Hey Jip, which we heard first in the session today.
There was a trick I used to use. Yeah, back when I was younger. Now, there's a trick I use from time to time in the studio, which is sort of like to break the ice. We had a second session where we all came in there. Sort of like this trick is, let's cover a song, any song, get our brains working, and then get somewhere and then move on to one of ours. It's kind of hard sometimes to just start cold, 10 a.m. in the morning. Okay, let's start recording a song we wrote. Sometimes you just let a little warm up a little bit, jam sometimes, or play Icebreaker. So I had heard that song Hey Jip in the car that morning, and I said, do you guys know this song Hey Jip? And Brendan goes, oh my god, I love that song. And
I covered it actually when I was younger.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah. I need to try to dig up that recording, but yeah,
I want to hear that.
I love that song.
Yeah.
And he pulled out the harmonica and played the harmonica solo, and none of us in the band knew he played harmonica, so it was a nice moment, and everyone felt really electric.
I didn't know I played harmonica.
So it felt really good. And so what happens with this trick sometimes, it backfires, and we fall in love with it so much, have to put it on the album. This happened with a song I did on a solo record a few years ago called I'm Shakin'. It's a cover song, and Dead Weather did a Bob Dylan song called New Pony, Rich Kid Blues. What was it? I don't know what to do with myself, the White Stripes. So anyways, this trick has backfired many times for me, and we end up falling in love with it so much you have to put it on the album. It feels so connected.
And this takes us back to, I guess, how we first heard of the meeting of minds between Jack and yourself, Brendan, because White Stripes covered one of your songs for a B-side for Seven Nation Army.
That's right, yeah.
Do you ever play that song still?
Yeah. We're talking about
Good to Me.
Good to Me.
I've actually got it here. I'm going to ask you to sign it in a moment.
Sure.
Yeah, does that ever still kind of come out on the tour bus?
Oh, no.
We should.
This bus?
We should. Yeah.
Talking of tour buses, I've been looking at your dates for the US for the rest of the year. It's a 40-date tour. It's pretty incredible. It starts in July.
39 of those are tax write-offs, I think.
And finishes in October. July till October on the road. How do you prepare for something like this, Jack?
There's a good 10 minutes before I leave the house where I'm trying to find my luggage and.
Is it come to that point now where you just literally walk out the door?
If you want the honest to God truth, I don't usually talk about nonsensical things like this, but I have never packed earlier than 10 minutes before I leave in my life, and I don't trust anyone who does.
Nuts.
Thank you.
Crazy.
I do love that. I mean, is it the same for you, Brendan? Because I guess
no, I take weeks to prepare. No.
A tour of this amount is kind of unusual, I guess, for you. I guess Jack has a lot of other projects going on.
It's been a while since I've toured this much. I mean, the past 10, 11 years I've been writing, producing, and not even playing really, so I got a lot of catching up to do.
Are you looking forward to
the endurance
for the big tour?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Nice. Tell me about the forthcoming record. Favorite songs from Help a Stranger? If you had to pick a couple?
Mine is Help Me Stranger.
This title track,
just kind of such a cool vibe. So kind of unlike the Raconteurs in a lot of ways, but kind of inventive, different. I don't know, there's something magical about it. It was great in the studio too. It was magical in the studio. Patrick flipped his snare drum upside down, played it upside down. LJ played these bass pedals, with his hands, got on the floor and stomped on these bass pedals and created this bass line that's incredible.
Yeah.
Jack and I are singing together like kind of old school, like old times with acoustic guitars. It felt really good. It was really fun to do, and it came together really fast. Like all the other songs actually.
Okay.
Everything's done at a breakneck pace in the Raconteurs.
But with a gap of 11 years, you're saying it's not a typical Raconteur sound. I guess it's whatever you want it to be now. You're in a place where you can take as long as you want before the next record comes out. Have you got favourites? What would you pick from the record, Jack?
That's definitely one of them. The song Only Child is one of my favorites, and some days I don't feel like trying. I really like a lot. I got to use a new instrument, a B-bender guitar that I've always wanted to have one, and I got this B-bender guitar, which is when you push away the guitar away from your body, the strap bends only the B string, so it sort of has a country pedal steel guitar sound to it, and so that was like learning how to play a new instrument. All of a sudden, trying to learn how to keep it in tune and how to push it just far enough away that it made sense, and so it took a minute to figure that out. So it was a really interesting challenge, which the band was polite enough to listen to me play take after take until I nailed it. So.
Yeah, so you're completely happy with that. I love the violin on the end of the record as well.
Lily May. Right. She's coming out with a new album on Third Man in a couple months, and she came by with her sister and played that fiddle solo at the end of the album. It was just explosive.
And this album is through Third Man, your label, of course. I wanted to ask you about Nashville really, and about Third Man. I'm a big fan of the label, and
thank you.
I've been lucky enough to see the Third Man yellow truck when I was at South by Southwest. I haven't been to, but you have a kind of, was it a multiplex in Nashville now? A Third Man.
We do, yeah, and in Detroit now too. We have two locations. We have a pressing plant of our own in Detroit now, and it's the only record store in the world where you can, from the record store, you can see records being pressed through the window, and it's really
really cool.
Some unique things going on there. You can record your own, you can record your own vinyl record in a recording booth from the '40s, and it just has a lot of things that I always wished I'd saw when I was going on tour around the world. Like, I'll probably see one of these things, or one of those I'd read about, a Scopatone machine or a recording booth or something like that, and just they're all gone. They don't exist anymore. So trying to have things like that, those kind of experiences that are just real. They're not just a fake Instagram experience. They're like a real experience you can put your hands on. So it's gone really well. I mean, we just had our 10th anniversary a few weeks ago. So.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thanks. Yes.
What I love as well is every record store anyone goes into in the world, you're going to find a Third Man release that you hadn't seen or heard of before. It's a live album, or it's a 7-inch by Tom Jones or Conan O'Brien or Brittany from Alabama Shakes. That cover was incredible. All the time. It's never ending.
It's not. We put out over 600 records so far. So it's and then also films and poetry. We have Third Man books now. We've developed film now. We have a film lab, and we have our own mastering studio in Detroit now. It's It's gigantic. It's crazy. None of it was planned. So it's every time just thinking about it makes me laugh. You must
be so
I'm paying
proud
for it.
Yeah, you must be so proud. It's been a real pleasure having you in this afternoon.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah,
the album is out June 21st. Help a Stranger, and you're playing All Points East in London this weekend.
Yes,
with the Strokes headlining.
Yeah.
You must have played some shows with the Strokes before.
Oh yeah, here and there. Yeah, big time.
Have a wonderful time. Thanks
Good
for
to
coming
see
to
them
see
again.
us.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to play the last session track then, recorded at Rack for 6 Music. This is Now That You're Gone.
Do now that you're gone on to somebody new? Well, that didn't take long. And where you gonna go? Not that I care. And who can you trust now that I'm not there? Unhappiness, never thought it would be like this. What will you do now that you're gone? Now that you're gone. Now that you're gone. What will you do out there in the cold? Keep you warm, who's gonna know? Who's gonna rescue you when you're lost at sea? Who is gonna love you if it isn't me? Never known such unhappiness. Never thought it would be like this. What will I do? You're gone. Now that you're gone.